Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Annual session. When Sri Piti Gandhiji, he wanted to fight for the freedom of our nation. Gandhiji advised him for the economic freedom. So Sri Piti Tyagaraja Chettiar came back to Madras, and 113 years later, we are here today in the industry. To formally start today's proceedings, I would now like to request
Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Police Talbot Murray, Consul General of France in Puducherry, past presidents of SICI, members of SICI's fellow chamber presidents here with us, glad to have you with us, members of Vanakkam. On behalf of SICI, I take great pleasure to Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Degrees in the US. We both immediately joined Intel Corporation. India's economy, immediately after our stints at Intel, compared to most others who stay back.
Of work, but I really consider it as a first step, a beginning of a greater relation, and I'm really thrilled to hear that SICI is planning to open an office in Paris. That shows the good work we have done and all the opportunities and perspectives we can build together between our two countries. This year, 2023, is a very important year in our bilateral relation between France and India. We are celebrating 25 years of strategic partnership. Of course, our relations are more ancient and based in history and friendship since the 17th century, and specifically here in Tamil Nadu and in the south of India. France and India have known each other for more than 4 centuries, and this gives us an asset to build a strong and widely developed relationship. But with this strategic partnership, our two countries decided 25 years ago to take this relationship on a more advanced, more developed, more ambitious level, building on our strategic national interests and helping each other to reach strategic autonomy based on our trust and common values of democracy, freedom, and rule of law. So this year, marking 25 years of this strategic partnership, is a very special year for us. And we're really thankful for the government of India that the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has accepted the invitation of our President of the Republic, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, to be the guest of honor at our National Day next week on July 14th in Paris. Not only the Prime Minister of India will visit Paris with a business delegation and government delegation as usual, I would like to say, but it's all
entrepreneurship in the country. He is focused on implementing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Digital India by expanding and deepening India's tech and innovation economy, developing India as a global talent and entrepreneurship hub. Without further ado, I would now like to request the Honorable Minister to deliver the inaugural address.
Mr. Arun, President SICI, Ms. Lise Talbot Barre, the Honorable Consul General of France in Puducherry and Chennai, Mr. Shivashankar, and friends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for, first of all, inviting me to speak at the AGM. It's an absolute pleasure. I want to start by sharing two nostalgic anecdotes of mine. I was driving to the venue and I saw an old coffee house on Mount Road. And my first job after I graduated from engineering was into the computer division of the then Beston Crompton Engineering. And I remember living as a paying guest on the roof of a building, a small little room. And I used to go to that coffee house for breakfast every day and then catch a bus to the Beston Crompton office. The flip side of that story is that Beston Crompton folded up that computer division 2 months after I joined. And so I had to then move to Delhi and then join one of the first computer startups in India called Softtech. That was one little nostalgia trip that I wanted to share with you. And the other one was, since the Honorable Consul General is here, and Arun referred to my entrepreneurship journey. My first entrepreneurship company, if you want to call it that, or relationship, was with 2 French companies, both Alcatel, CSF Thomson, and then France Telecom. And I learned a lot about the very different ways of how the Americans viewed business and how the Europeans viewed business from that association. So I thought I should share that with you before I speak and start. Look, all of you have noticed and heard and observed this really historic visit of our Honorable Prime Minister to the US. And of course, you will say this is a minister who's come, who's part of Narendra Modi ji's team, and therefore I'm prone to hyperbole and rhetoric. But certainly, even if you are not a minister in the Narendra Modi ji's government, or if you are not even a supporter of the government, and you are impacted by, let us say, Tamil politics, you will still look at that event, you will still look at that trip as absolutely historical, unprecedented in so many different ways, but very, very defining for what the future of technology holds for us, how the future of technology will be scripted and architected by partnerships, and how real and solid and deep and valuable the technology ecosystem and the technology opportunity is for all of us around the world. 2 people spoke, and you must have seen this on the television. 2 people, there were a lot of VIPs who came in for that White House dinner. And I want to draw your attention to 2 quotes. One was Sundar Pichai, again a son of Chennai and son of Tamil Nadu, who said, and I'm paraphrasing it, I don't have the exact quote, but he said, it was almost prescient on the part of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to anticipate the power of technology and launch Digital India in 2015. And it is in 2023 and this post-COVID world that the rest of the world is waking up to this tremendous opportunity and tremendous power that technology holds. So somebody like Sundar Pichai, acknowledging that what we set out to do under the leadership of our Prime Minister way back in 2015 is something that is very deeply meaningful in the way the world sees technology and the future of technology today. The second thing I want to share with you is, and you must have heard, and of course, Chennai has a great relationship with the company Apple. Tim Cook recently dropped by and he visited the Honorable Prime Minister, he visited me. And he said, and you know, Tim Cook is not a person who's prone to metaphors and hyperbole. He said, one of the reasons that Apple has been so successful in ramping up production in India so fast, so quickly, and so to such volumes, was the fact that for the years preceding Apple's entry, preceding Pegatron, Foxconn's investments, that India had created an environment that was an enabling environment for manufacturing electronics. Now, this is not a small thing, because in 2014, if you rewind back, we were a nation that had absolutely little or nothing in terms of electronics manufacturing capabilities. In the global electronics value chains, which today is the second highest traded commodity in the world after hydrocarbon and energy, electronics is number 2 after petroleum and energy. 1.6 trillion is the size of the global electronics global value chain. India was absent in 2014, almost missing. And I like to use this example. I'm sure that you will get a kick out of this example. In 2014, about 85% of mobile phones that Indians consumed were imported. 85%. And today, 100%, near 100%, 99.7% of mobile phones consumed in India are assembled and manufactured and tested in India. In 2014, we exported almost zero electronics from India. And our entire digital ecosystem depended on imports. And last year alone, we have exported 1 lakh crores of Samsung, Apple phones from India to markets around the world, consumers around the world. I make this point to tell you that in the last 9 years, we have traveled traveled a significant distance. And today, when we talk about technology, and I have spent about 35 years in technology. I won't tell you precisely how many years, because then you'll say I'm very old. I can tell you that we are living certainly the most exciting period in the history of independent India. And that after a lot of hard work, we have reached a point, and I can give you statistics, I can give you numbers, but the important statistics are the 5th largest economy in the world, the fastest growing economy in the world, a country that has dealt with this terrible pandemic in a way that most nations around the world have not been able to do so and have still not been able to do so. And all of that because we have, in a sense, developed capabilities and capacities and confidence over the last 8-9 years in innovation, in technology, in creating platforms, products, solutions. And if you go back to 2015, and I was in an audience like this in Delhi when the Honorable Prime Minister launched the Digital India, I was sitting in the audience. I was a member of Parliament, of course. And as is wont with most members of Parliament, we were skeptical, cynical about anything that we heard. And the Prime Minister stood on a dais like this and he laid out 3 goals for Digital India. He said, technology in India primarily is about empowering and transforming the lives of our citizens, transforming governance, transforming democracy. He said that for 60 years in India, the narrative about India was when 100 rupees left Delhi, 15 rupees reached the citizen's account or citizen's benefit. And he wanted to use technology to change that. The second goal he set out, he said, we want to expand the digital economy as a percentage of the GDP. We want more and more opportunities for our youngsters. And the third goal he set out was that India was a consumer of technologies. For many, many years and many, many decades, our computers, our exchanges, our devices, everything was imported. And India must get transformed into a producer of technology. And in 2022, when I met the Honorable Prime Minister, after I had been given this opportunity to serve as a minister, I told him that when I heard him in 2015, in my head I laughed and said, this will never be possible. This is not going to happen. This is a tall claim. And here we are today. We have changed that age-old narrative that only 15 rupees reaches, that government and governance in India is dysfunctional. And today when 100 rupees leaves the government of India, 100 rupees reaches the beneficiary's account instantaneously, without leakage, without corruption, thanks to the power of technology, thanks to the power of the UPI, thanks to the power of India Stack. The digital economy was 3% to 3.5% of total GDP in 2014, and we are now at 10%, and by 26 we'll be 20%. We'll be $1 trillion digital economy. That is our goal by 26. And you can see that this landscape of entrepreneurship that has been created in the last 6-7 years, which has earned the respect of our peer countries, our partner countries, our friends, and our foes up north and up west. I will not mention their name, but you know who they are. And third, yes, Arun said that in his speech, we were a consumer of technologies. And our presence on the digital economy was a narrow one in terms of IT and ITES. Big, solid, significant presence in the ITES segment, but it was a very narrow slice. And today I can tell you, as not just a minister, as a techie, or as whatever way you want to characterize me, that there is not a segment in the technology sector, there is not a segment in the technology and digital economy where there is no Indian presence, there's no Indian footprint, there's no Indian startup, there's no Indian enterprise or partnership. Whether it is semiconductor design, to AI, to blockchain, to high performance computing, to the traditional IT, to the consumer internet, India is today, young Indians and young Indian-led startups are across the board today, across a spectrum of technology opportunities. And this is manifested in many ways by the partnerships and the friendships and the strategic relationships. The Honorable Consul General talked about France, a very enduring partnership, and with the broader EU, India has now a Trade and Technology Council agreement and a discussion and a partnership. I was recently in Brussels, and it is clear that the world seeks, India is responding, and that in a lot of ways, these partnerships, Indo-US, Indo-EU, Indo-France, Indo-Quad, are going to shape the future of technology. And we can all today agree that technology is going to play a more and more decisive and important role, not just in our personal lives, but in global trade, in global economy, in global geopolitics. And so therefore, that is where we are today. I don't want to take too much of time. This is a topic that if you let me loose, I will speak on and on. I am an evangelist. I know I caught the tail end of a discussion on cybersecurity. I see the lady there. And certainly, in all of these areas, as we grow the internet, as we become the largest connected nation in the world, we are today 83 crore Indians online. And by 26, we'll be 120 crore Indians connected to the internet, making us the largest connected block on the global internet. Cybersecurity, the blockchain, Web3, all of these underlying trends are trends that are opportunities for us, for our partnerships, for our friends, and relationships between our companies and global companies. I will end simply by saying this, and I said a little bit of it upfront as well. As somebody who has had the privilege and honor of being in the space of technology for over three and a half decades, and I've seen the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows and the disruptions and the velocity and the acceleration, I can safely testify to the fact that we are certainly living in the most exciting period ever in the history of Indian tech, the Indian economy, and indeed global tech. And I think the fact that associations like SICI and industry bodies all around the country are aligning to this ambition of our Prime Minister to take us to $1 trillion digital economy, to talk about the next 10 years as an India decade, a decade of technology opportunities that we built by the capabilities, the energy, the innovation, the determination of young Indians all around the country. That industry associations are in a sense aligning to that, backing it, and a support of this is something I sincerely welcome. And to the two requests that Arun made as a cost for inviting me, it was a quid pro quo. He said, I'll let you speak here provided you approve to asks from the SICI. I will certainly consider both deeply. I can certainly tell you that the India Innovation Week is something that we will be more than happy to support, and we will certainly be a partner to that. On the EV side, let me study it a little bit more. I completely agree that there is a need for an EV center of excellence and a capability center in Chennai. And if we can play a role in making that happen and realize that, we certainly will do so. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Degree is Master of Commerce, International Business and Finance. From the Annamala University, Ms. Preeti for Masters in Science for Agri-Economics. Ms. Vishwavahini from Annamala University for Masters in Agri-Business. And finally, from Loyola Institute of Business Administration, Mr. Alan Emmanuel Sundar for Achievement in Business Administration. At this juncture, I would like to request Mr. A.R.R. Arun, our President, to honor our chief guest for today, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, with a memento and a shawl, please. I request Mr. Shiv Shankar, the Vice President, to honor the Consul General, Ms. Lisa Talbot-Bear, please. Friends, as mentioned, SICKI is also to release this report, Emerging Tech Trends in 2023. I request Mr. Joseph Abraham, the founder of Venture Atom, who was instrumental in preparing the report, to join us on the dais, please.